Hi, YouTube. So I don't normally do 2 uploads in a day, but I found out that there's this button now for like interactive transcript on videos. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually read the transcript to you in what I think I sounded like while saying that, or just in a dramatic reading of my previous video. So those of you who haven't had a chance to watch my chapter 10, go ahead and watch it. You can turn on the interactive transcript if you want to, but I'm going to read the transcript to you now. It'll probably take a little bit less time, but here we go. Hello, units. And as you've probably guessed, becoming once again getting through that we can, we're looking up and Sanyal dates and like mad, so gained out drag and profanity or wait outside. And I know it's really actually delaying when you have been need repeated messages this week and people being in particular and high Q. 10 authentication 18 acquired. Well, if you watched my other applicants, UNC wow, I have not done doing 50 states and just ahead. Just watch the first meeting and a half that might be fixed, and you'll see why, and I think it's a completely valid reason. Anyway, evidence joining us, marital, branch at the end of chapter guidelines, so it at my mother, and does have a tendency to deflect a stupid stuff. And oh, and I would take notes like, I don't know how if you can see this because many webcasting weird, and you can just see the highlighting that I have on here because I did take any notes, which I could have just begun. I did feel like it, and I thought, you know, maybe it'd be easy for me to do is reading it. I wasn't cut so we'd have anything, so we detect Blanche. They're getting on a dad, and then his mother pops up Delaware. And is beginning to evaluate, pulled out of early quickly, like without a fight. We did that. Activities like me, I would like to, well, now you've picked it up different telling us. Everybody like people to people of the access card. Now he'd like, cannot, we need to get dressed. You need to meet my mother, and without the help of late, she's not attitude, birth in the room. Dismissed out of issues that it is like filling up the door like a little bit, hit evident at the top that day. Yes, he's a very badly placed Akashi clean clothes, he repeated. Diseases like I don't think it was a big mite because I want to live. Like that did you not. In my clothing, especially, you know, I have a girl wearing, she's clothing or event dot who's trying to squeeze and some girl t-shirt and jeans are popular, doesn't fit you properly. But he's like, I want you very much, 5 minutes, and it's like Mike Eastern time here yet, but she should be the ear, and just how cute Open Sea's like. Says she finds Blake. It usually does find a pair of 9s. Sorry, I didn't read properly to you could find her, you know, bribes or not. And because he's a weird owl, she puts on a pair of his underwear. Apparently, poetry Calvin Klein, and my thing is that they're tight on her. House Majulus Christian AC, an elite unit dot. Anyway, she comes down, and now she's meeting with his woman, and you know, because Chris is the way he is, I would have expected his mother to be like kind of Miranda Priestley tonight, but she's not like Hope. I don't do it. Yet below. Hylia. Happy, and she said that means that the question like, you guys did it go up? And I don't recall an appointment of the deal consulted with you, in just reminder of that either Mexican, and I think you have always it gives me out because they need a racially appropriate catchphrase. Anyway, and blinding all over 20, I mean, I think I D.O. because he has to be that sort of pathetic happy dot character. Everyone here, is that true? You get he comes back, initiative, she goes back to reverse talking, and all the time, and Taylor has apparently Sadat's Michaelis appeared that sucking. No edited like election is going to have been, so you don't know that he is them. Seduction is the butler for black color. And even if they don't do it every wanted like here and there, that humid. Keep in mind that Pilates, that nowhere, and also I think result. If it's not like that, but I recall you what you want. And then Taylor comes back at effort nowhere like there's a problem with the dark for shipment, and he does Charlie Tango back at Boeing Field. Do people actually speak like that outside of, you know, the armed services and people who really, but they do it plain, but you've probably drunk, but whatever? And he did not get dot at the bottom like what you do that. Headed up sadly, our turning ended up with that. I think, yes sir, contacted you, haven't tiny before suspicions that I needed, signed a contract if you're going to be in a relationship with me, outlet for agreement. I had a problem with banging, I guess. If you're really heavily into the top subcommittee, that actually probably is a really good idea. I don't like it simply because she's not willingly entertaining into a dot of the relationship she's trying to force. During the keen glass, tile a different view, who have not been keeping up with me, that it might problematic thing. Quite once again, and I don't mind if they're doing something if you're fat as know a couple people who are really a bit. Or do you know I did, and I know that there are a lot of people who would be totally fine with that kind of early, but it's kind of dumb she was just assumes that they're going to fall into your cake. To that Saturday that they're taking dark assisting, but does the you don't dominant. Some of you listed on the other people at the end of the educational images of the dominatrix if you could dominate towards I think it's a woman. And it's kind of brooding, really brute, stipulate, here you indulge. In might that is because I want you to, that's not how that works, picking. Community. At least not being able to our axles are about being consensual. Anyway, the ability of the government bring everything is alright, an essays activist team. Signing out of context, but you should probably 30 would just real. Polandry take any document in your hand to children. And she, mixture, kid tool, right now, has some flooding here, and necessarily write your paper and send you the school computer when his pocket. And I'm not saying that, people who cannot afford a computer, but I'm thinking major comes obviously from the middle class background. If she's not wanting for anything, so it seems natural to me that she should have a computer. But because she's a special snowflake, she just got them. And curses like, I'm sure I can find some solution for you, he says. And Cayenne, if it were any, call Kate. But she doesn't look phased. U.S. locations business, call somebody. And you could look at our place, remember, and don't like to share. And from inside the leading, you to drive her back. And he's wearing a leather jacket for no reason. And I think, he certainly does not look like a multi-billionaire, millionaire, whatever, area new clothes. Looks like a boy who runs the track needed, badly behaved rock star catwalk model, etc., without being taught how to explicitly often heated it. Now you look like that boy. But the fact that the dusty, they defeated Jari and Ek. And I think that whatever she served by team lead, keep friends are in effectual manner, stops by nearly 4 o'clock in the elevator. OC teacher set up, you're disgusting. Inquisitive, and my guess is that the ski, I even talk to keep it up. But I ain't Cavell utility. I don't know what the birth defect lightning bolt lock at you. Any at you. They don't tell Kato and what you've done so far. She'd probably have my balls if she knew what I want to do to you. And of course, business life, but gave Krish his boss about something I wanted to a lot, but felt like that's a big indicator. If your best friend is going on like a straight at the band that you're seeing attacking what do you, it's probably inside that's not a good thing to indulge. But why do I know? Who you starring? Champions that daughter card idea, Peppy, for the car is resting on the packing grounds. I hate having adapted cars at the time, and I saw driving wearable art. You need a lesson from Bruce Springsteen, because he doesn't listen to Bruce Springsteen. Enid our 8 spider, but topped out if I think that it wants. The day, the waitress equipped with the Christian playground moves so flustered. He's like my mother, like you, she aliphatic gay, because you never met with one of the other 15. Oh yeah, keep expectations, but that propping like you to address right now, perhaps not. Eating, and they start talking. She asked him what develop exit, but I got to know if you just didn't get fact mercilessly like I did it intact. He goes on to tell her at Channel 9 CM that one of his mother's friends sentenced him when he was 15 years old, meet camera submit, and they had ongoing relationship for a long time, and he was like, Avenue referral, and now he wanted I am like cocaine, and I think this is a cutie, cheaply admitted to sexually abuse it out, and then whatever ongoing well lit, and she said, whatever happened at 15, he's like, they were incredibly, and she was like, you couldn't beat the politically cargo, and it end just in, you'd like I was a good read your mind, then he goes, well, I've got to know your body quintuplets today, because he is acknowledged rival, going at standing up, impacted areas as he gets home. Instead, they came to America. Coming up at school, they are looking for UN instead of biblical Tindu. Disappeared and at the door. And the court, Kate, have to bring attention to the fact that to comment on your first high holy cow, how much stone path everyone interested in peace, okay? Him, supper moving, chaotic rather than, and if they said that cooking anyway, and as they call that is white, and yes, and it doesn't look like we're friends are going to be, we'll hang out, that I mentioned that about, and then she settles over Christian like a young man to kind of adolescents sexually abused, that the people Mrs. Robinson thank you. It what you build fourth time, Stee, right here, any more practical edit, and burnt, made out of Adam, and she finally decides that they're reading contract. After Cotton actually starts in chapter 11, starts like going on here, and that's the context of actually read part of the contract. Actually read the whole contract with running a few pages, actually did not read pickup date. Because you're basically said in a nutshell, estimate agrees to do with the dominant, wide-sweeping remove the bottling, spiritual and mental health that all upset. Being placed under the sadness is that what them because supplement any excited the demand about the dominant jumping so that we can start head that there are 3 about. Bertha Misses shall not look directly into the abdomen, except was specifically instructed to do so. The sadness of chuckle, crack down, cast down, and maintain. The quiet, respectful Barry, the fact that the dominant basically you want the 9 notation, and I think that's because, once again, I am what began before I go fucking insane. If this did you think, like, you can't get to be implemented. What kind of behavior? Okay, let the fuse look normal for you, but take a normal. Tonight, on all these people like kings and the taking of suddenness, of course, not mistake being late, I'd like you. I'm going to fly, smile, SID, Tekalek, parable. He could get back onto the bed of a print they like it for it because we are, and we all know, if that'll inlet. And any DVD Terry or once a battle for any food calculate decade, but you can get out of time. I like him gardening thing. Unlike Catherine on the part, I think that there is a big sexual use of a 12-year-old in Egypt lurker live if you look mode manner without Delaney, consciously, grad. Vietnamese Linux that writing about the blood because I can with Brett Michaels, any economically liquid metal detector that night to be late dot look at it yet it back. And you know you can be healthy because it happened at yet, but you look at our grade like you have off of Alamat to Magic Tenderloin, and anger at life like every time a channel says video, with people preferably every age of 18. Because I think that's kind of separately and appropriately this should not be there at all. And the age appeared at least tonight, another the women are exact hand prepping myself. Orange returned I had different let to go, that's what I read. So I need to read. I mean, I have little over half a day like this, much brings it about half itself. Skynet Enum Legacy Albany comments, say Reptile managed to make sure it, and maybe I'll start doing instructors, and I personally got to talk a little less terribly and still happy. Good job, YouTube.